hear a story that took place more than 80 years ago. It was just before World War II began. So that's more than 80 years ago. Yes, Afghanistan, Ukraine. Anywhere else?
Russia.
Yeah, Russia.
I think Palestine.
Yes, all over the world there are refugees and displaced people today as well as those days. Right, next. Back at the Hamburg train station. Right, where is Hamburg? Who knows?
Germany.
Yes, it's in Germany. So this is where the story begins, with her going from Hamburg. Back at the Hamburg train station, a train had been waiting to take us to Holland. What's Holland called today? It begins with an N. Yes, Netherlands. Waiting to take us to Holland to the boat. Mutti and Vati told me the boat would take us to a new life. All the parents cried. We cried too. Why do you think they were crying? Yeah?
Because they knew they were going to have to leave their parents.
Yes. Were the parents allowed to go with them on the Kindertransport? No, because only children, no parents were allowed. So have a look at this incredible picture of the train. What kind of feeling and impression do you get when you see that imposing picture of the train? Or look at the colours. Yes?
They're quite dull and motionless.
Yes, like quite menacing, aren't they? Quite scary to look at that colour, because on the next page, thank you, this is where we see Dorothy herself on the train. One little girl cried loudest of all. When she dropped her toy dog, it lay on the tracks. A man rescued the dog. He called "Catch" as he threw it to her. Right after she caught it, the train began to move. The girl stopped crying and clutched her dog, and she waved goodbye to the man. So, who's that little girl who's dropped the dog? The toy dog.
The main character of the story?
Yes, the main character of the story, that's right. Now, what do you notice about what these children have got round their necks? Yes?
They're like tagged like luggage.
Yes, they tag like luggage, that's right. And why? Why? Yeah?
So they don't get lost.
They don't get lost. What's on the tag? What do you think? Oh, somebody who hasn't answered. Yes?
And numbers.
Yes.
And probably some information about them in case they get lost.
Absolutely right. Correct. Numbers, information about each person. So everybody had to have that. They had to be identified. So, the next one, please. Okay, now, look at that beautiful picture. Look at the colours. What do you get this feeling when you see the children sitting in the field. Completely different to the past, yes?
Oh, it's happy.
They're happy,
They look thankful.
they look thankful.
Warm.
Yeah, they look warm. Yeah, you're right.
And like bubbly and excited.
Yeah, and relieved. They're relieved to be resting and sitting in the field. At last, the train stopped. The big boy said we were in Holland. We sat in a green field and ate cheese sandwiches. We sang songs to the Dutch people who helped us. One song was about a mermaid. They gave us milk and chocolate, and soon we were on our way again. Why do you think it's important that the food has been mentioned? And what kind of food is it that they should actually mention it? Yes?
To show like what types of food they eat in the new country.
Yes, that's right. New, fresh food that they hadn't eaten before, perhaps. What does it tell you about where they had come from?
They seem very interested in like, oh, what's this? I've never seen this before.
Yes, perhaps they hadn't. And how long ago had they actually eaten cheese and milk and chocolate? They're luxury items because these children have come from a place where there was war. Yes.
Is there a reason why they're all dairy products?
Because? Why do you think? It's a very good question. Where are we now? Are we in Holland?
Maybe it's like good for children's health.
Nutritious. That's right. Very good for them. What are our other clues in this picture that we are in Holland or in the Netherlands? What do you see? Yeah.
Windows?
The windmill. What about, who knows what these flowers are?
Oh.
Yes, well, someone hasn't answered. Yeah? What are they called? With the T, the flower. Tulips, right. So the green fields of Holland, they feel safe. Dorothy has even put down her toy dog. She doesn't have to hold onto it and clutch onto it. What's the point of a stuffed animal? You know, who has them? Have you got one?
I've got multiple in my family now, but you feel safe.
Absolutely right. You feel safe. It's security when you have your own precious toy dog or doll, depending on what you have. Third person, because? Why do you think it's written? What's the point of writing it in the third person? Yes. Yeah, absolutely right. Dorothy is talking about everybody. They're all together. They're all experiencing this leaving home and going to another place together. They're a collection of children. But let's see what happens now. Thank you. Then it was time to leave the boat. We wore name tags around our necks. There was a wooden bridge. Looking through the slats at the sea made me dizzy. I didn't want to move, but everyone behind pushed me. I shut my eyes and held the rail. I shuffled forward with my eyes closed, and at last my feet touched the ground. That's when I started to cry. What's the first thing that you notice about point of view here? Yes?
It changes to first person.
And why does it change to first person? What would be the significance of Dorothy doing that? Yes?
Because she's describing how she felt, and she doesn't know how others felt.
Absolutely right. Do you agree, everybody? That we've changed to first person because the focus is now on Dorothy herself. She's now all by herself and she's all ready to start her new life. This is her alone. She's a refugee herself. She's on her way to England. Everything is now up to her. No more safety in numbers with the other children. What is she carrying? Yep. Yeah, her suitcase, her toy dog, and her label. And what do you think she's put in that suitcase? Yes.
Something to comfort her.
Things to comfort her.
Maybe his clothes, her clothes. Her clothes?
Her clothes, definitely. She would need change of clothes. Yes.
Something that reminds her of parents and
Yes, something that reminds her of parents.
But something that she thinks will keep her safe.
Yes, things that will keep her safe, that she's familiar with. Yes.
Something that has to do with religion.
Yes, perhaps something that has to do with her religion, being Jewish. Maybe she brought with some kind of item with her, correct?
Things that will help her start a new life.
Yeah, things to help her start a new life. You excellent examples.
Something to remind her of her old home.
Yeah, but nobody's mentioned pho. Don't you think she would have brought pho? Yes?
Food.
Food? Yes, she might have brought some food with. Yes.
Okay.
Photos. Yeah. She would have brought photos, I'm sure. So, why do you think she's crying? And how do you feel for her at this stage? Yes.
Probably like scared.
Yeah, she is scared. Yeah, it's overwhelming, isn't it?
Maybe it's just hit her that she knows that her parents aren't coming for her anymore.
At that stage, she didn't actually know, but yeah, she might have been worried about her parents.
Well, now she's on her own, so now she's unaccompanied.
Yes.
So she's basically on her own and nowhere to go, really.
Yeah, well, there will be, but she's not sure yet of what's going to happen. Yes.
She knows she can't go back.
Yes, that's right. Well, she's hoping she will go back. A British train taking us to London. Many people were there. Some children had friends or family to meet them. Others looked around for help. There were men with cameras and people holding photographs. Those people had promised to take children into their homes. The children would be part of their families until they could be with their own parents again. So, here we have a situation where the children have now arrived in London. What do you know, what do you see with this image over here? Who are they? Yes?
Like people trying to get like their kids and all of that.
Yes, they are. And they've been, the illustration shows them all together. So they're a group of people. What about the photographs? Why is it important that someone's there taking photos of them? arriving?
Oh.
Anybody know? Yes?
So don't know which one.
Yes, but something more important than that, yes?
To find them a home, so they could put on newspapers to ask people to find them a home.
Yes, excellent answer, yes. What do you
They
think?
might send it to their parents so they know that they're alive.
Yes, they might have, right. But the idea of putting it in the newspaper is very important because the Kinder Transport Organisation was, these organisers wanted to show the world they are helping to save Jewish children, and some of them weren't Jewish, but save children from a war zone. So they wanted everybody to know what they were doing. It was very important to get the publicity in order to get more funding to do it and to bring more children over. Okay, one other thing. This is the Liverpool Street station in London. Has anybody been to London and been to this particular station? Well, my husband's just put up his hand. Eli was there about a month ago, and he said it looks exactly like that. And there is an amazing statue to the Kinder Transport children who arrived there, and it looks just like that. Thank
They
you.
always arrive at the same station.
Some went to other stations, but this was the main meeting place, and that's why they have the Kinder Transport statue there. What do they look like? Why is the man down on his knee? Why did we do that? Yes?
To make himself look more, like, not as big, and to make himself look less, so he can...
Now, eye contact, yes, to form a relationship and to help her feel settled and safe, that now he's going to help her. And what do you think about what they're wearing? Because those are actually her foster parents who've come to meet her, yes?
They're wearing very bright colours, so
Yeah.
I think they might have done that to make to see that they're not threatening.
Yes, I agree. Yes, what do you think?
They're wearing jackets, clothes,
Yes, and they're quite smart, aren't they? So these are, their name was Gallimore, Mr. and Mrs. Gallimore, and they were the ones who became her foster parents, and they chose her. So the fact that it says they chose me, they found me, what do you think that makes her feel? Yeah.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Why are there 3 people?
Well, it's the Mr. and Mrs. Gallimore, and that's Mr. Gallimore's brother. And he could speak German, which we're going to see on the next page, okay? A man with them spoke German. Anybody speak German? I'm going to say it. He said, "Willkommen, schöner Kind." Welcome, beautiful child. All I could say in English was, "I have a handkerchief in my pocket." That's how I began to teach myself. Whenever I learned a new word, I put it in the same sentence. I have a dog in my pocket. I have a house in my pocket. I have a teacher in my pocket. What do you think of that way of learning English? Effective? Workable?
Depends how big the teacher is.
I mean, robot teachers do exist.
Well, I think we have to think of metaphors there. Yes.
And a house.
Okay, so this is the first idea that we get of the pocket, which is going to be a theme of the story, used as a metaphor and a symbol in the meaning of the story. So she puts these words into an imaginary pocket. What do you think this hand on her shoulder is suggesting in this picture? Yeah?
That is saying that we are with you, that is saying that don't worry.
Yeah. And?
She's safe. That
Yeah.
she's safe with them.
That's right. And it's sort of a protective. He's already starting to look after her right from the beginning. And I have to ask you what kind of dog that is.
Terry?
No? Oh, wait, somebody said terrier?
Yeah.
What kind?
German.
Who knows?
Northern.
I don't know. Scottish. Yeah. They're going up to Scotland. It's the Scottish terrier, which they had. Thank you. I want you to think deeply about where that bicycle is and where that car is and Dorit in the middle. What does it suggest to you about her life? And about, oh sorry, standing in your way. What do you think? Any ideas? Go? Yeah? What do you think it could Why is the man on the bike so huge in this picture? Yes?
That was a question.
Okay, yes?
Maybe Sam is late.
No. I have to say. Yes? What do you think it means? Yes.
Oh, I think it's more close because that's what she lifted, and that's what happened back home. And then behind is like where she's coming in with the new place. Where she,
Absolutely correct. You've seen the significance of this picture. Yes.
She was thinking that he was means he was riding bike with his dad.
Yes.
So she's remembering his
Right. Okay. So we have the past and the present. The past is looming up in front of her. Her memories of her father on the bike. They didn't have cars. The Jewish people weren't allowed to have, and anyway, it was a war, so people were very much deprived during that time. And here we have the new life with cars and dogs, and so she's moving from the one to the other and looking back at the past. What do you notice about the children and what they're doing and how they're doing it? What do you think it means? Nobody hasn't answered?
Have a go, guys. It doesn't matter.
No, everybody's right. It's your own feelings about it, the story, your emotions and how you're reacting. Yes?
Like they're playing together and
They're
she
playing
feels like she
together.
fits in.
Right, she fits in.
So they've all like linked arms together, so they're like one now.
Absolutely. Excellent. So they're accepting her for who she is. They're being kind and friendly and inclusive. Doesn't matter where she's come from, non-judgmental. And she went on, Dorothy herself went on to lead a very happy life in Scotland. What's the name of a book that is written about yourself and you write it yourself? What's the beginning? What is it?
an autobiography.
Autobiography. And this is an autobiographical picture book. Okay. What do you think about her parents, Mummy and Daddy, saying it's okay for her to still refer to Mutti and Vati? What about that? Anyone? Yes?
Because they don't want her to forget her past life in case her parents come back or she wants to come back after the war.
Absolutely right. They've asked her to call their mummy and daddy because they obviously want to love her and cherish her in the same way. Yes,
They don't want to replace her parents, they just want to
Yes.
be there for her.
absolutely right. Next page, please. I got a letter from Mutti and Vati. We miss you so much. Remember to be good and don't forget to write to us. This morning we picked mushrooms and thought about you. We hope to be with you very soon. I hope so too. I put Mutti and Vati's letter in my pocket. I kept it and read it every day, even after the war began. That's the last page of the story. So, she got a letter from Mutti and Vati and put it in her pocket. I want you to think about how that pocket could represent something else besides just a place to put in a letter in the pocket. What else could it be and mean in this story? Think deeply about what it could mean. Same hand, other hand.
I get that all the time.
Yes, I bet you know. You're just shy to answer. Yes?
It's like her life in the pocket.
Her life in the pocket. Yes. Her, what else?
Keep her family in her heart.
Keep her family in her heart. Definitely means that. Yes?
Keep all the memories very close to her.
Right. Keep your memories close to you. Yes?
Her past life and her family.
Yes, her past life and her family. Safekeeping in the pocket. The pocket could represent something bigger than just a physical pocket. It's for where the memories go and the safekeeping of the memories. But it also means, like she learned English with words, it's a place to move on, a place to learn new things that she would have to do to adapt to her new environment. And that's what happens when people come to a new place, isn't it? What migrants, displaced children, refugees, immigrants have to learn about their new lives. in order to adapt and learn the new ways of doing things. Okay. What do you think about that very last line? Is somebody going to ask me the question, the big question? Yes?
How long did the war take?
The war was 6 years. Yes?
What happened after the war?
There you go. Thank you for asking that question. What happened to her parents? It was a war, and they didn't survive the war. Dorothy went on to lead a very happy life in Scotland. She was adopted by this family, the Gallimores. She herself got married. She had 5 children. She wrote the story and then went around to all the schools in Scotland, and she read the story and told them what had happened. Why do you think it's important that she wrote the story and wanted children to know about it? Why? What's the point? Yes.
So they would know what people back then had to suffer through.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
So they could be grateful that they have all the stuff.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
They're not used to their dad's side.
Yes, to be resilient, to adapt to your new surroundings. She wanted to tell people what had happened to her, so that maybe it will never happen again in the future, but also give them an opportunity to understand where different people come from and what discrimination and war and racism can do to people. Separate families, war, everything that goes with it. I told you that Dorothy went on to have a very happy life. What does it tell you about refugees themselves, or people who've come to a new place? It doesn't all have to be bad, doom and gloom. It can mean
They've stayed there for a while.
sorry?
They've stayed there?
Yeah. And they can thrive and be happy and successful in their new homes. Right. But first, one of the main themes of the story is about, shall I say, or will you give me a suggestion? And I actually happen to see something over here. I saw something along this one. I have to read backwards. That word kindness, is one of the themes of this story. It's about the kindness of strangers and how people can be inclusive and kind to each other and accepting and be generous. Can you give me some examples of kindness in this story? Think right back to the very beginning. I bet you can think of, well, I don't know, I've thought of about 10 examples. Let's go out, yes.
The man giving her a teddy dog back.
Absolutely. Did you hear that? The rescuing of the dog from the tracks. Yes, yes. The children playing, yes.
When the people adopted her.
Yes, and not just they themselves, mummy and daddy, who adopted them, but the whole idea of the kinder transport to rescue children involves being kind and generous to them, yes?
Isn't the whole trainer so they get protected from the war?
Yes, they did get protected from the war, but, well, they didn't really, because the war actually came to England, so, and to London, but everybody survived and was safe. Okay, so think of this, of that picture of when the adults met them at the station. Can you remember the picture of them with the parents, the new parents, the foster parents with outstretched arms, welcoming them, embracing them? Another example of kindness. What about the Dutch people themselves? Remember that page? What did they do? Yes?
Gave them chocolate and sandwiches and milk.
Yes, they did. They met them. Came from the train and gave them food. Right, now, thank you very much. We're now going to go on to a video. This first, what we're going to see is a contemporary video, means a current video of the story. It's a few minutes, and then we're going to look at some other pictures.
Dorrit Oppenheim was one of thousands of Jewish children who escaped from Nazi-occupied Europe on.
And as a young woman and an old lady. She only died a few years ago. Yes. Right, there she is. She was born in a town called Kassel in Germany. And there she is with her real parents, the Oppenheims. Next. And here's Dorothy in her classroom, just like this. That's her. This was before she left, and before she was allowed to be at school. After that, she wasn't allowed to go to school there. Yes? These are her travel documents, the real ones. Yes? Can you see? Okay. So there's her suitcase, and I see you have studied suitcases and what migrants and refugees take with them. She took cutlery because her cutlery actually had her name engraved on it, and her parents felt it was important that she took her own cutlery with her. And those are her real clothes that she took in the case. Okay? So these are not pictures of her, but they are other refugee children who went on the Kindertransport with their names. And that little girl in the advert for the book is actually her real granddaughter, Ayla, her name is. Yeah? So this is one of the photographs that those newspaper journalists took and published in the paper of the Kindertransport children arriving at the station. You can see they're carrying cases and they've got their name tags. Next. So I want you to have a quick look at this picture and tell me what you notice about the similarities of the two photos. Yes.
They both have a toy doll.
Yes, they're both clutching the toy dog. Yes.
They've both got two plaques.
the girls have got plaits. And what about the time difference? Yes.
It looks like the same doll.
Well, it's not the same girl, but that's a very important point because it's not the same girl, but
It's the same doll.
the same. No, it's not the same doll, but looks similar.
One's one of the older version, like the same like a new migrant, and that's like an older migrant.
Absolutely.
Like there's no adults with them.
No adults with them. So things haven't changed much. A refugee girl from the late 1930s with her bag and her doll sitting and wondering what's going to happen. This picture is a girl from the Ukraine. A very recent picture that was in the paper. Very similar situation. Thank you. Next. These are her foster parents, people who took her in, Gallimores from Edinburgh, and there she is with her, that's her with 4 daughters, and then she also had a son. Next. That's Dorothy and her husband Andrew when they went back to Kassel, where she came from, to see her roots. Yes? Now, this is not Prince. Who's that? King Charles. King Charles went to the German Parliament in April, and he delivered a very important speech. We're just going to watch 30 seconds of it about the Kindertransport.
Tomorrow we will once again stand with the people of Germany in solemn remembrance. In Hamburg I will pay my respects at the memorial to the Kindertransport, which 85 years ago saved the lives of more than 10,000 Jewish children from Nazism and gave them safe passage to new lives in Britain.
Transport. Elias took this picture, you saw it there, and that is King Charles in Hamburg, where they've also got a statue, because as you saw in the story, those huge trains took the children. That was the main station. Thank you, Nick. Okay, who's he?
The guy that likes honey.
Like Marmalade.
No, Marmalade, yeah.
Yeah. So Michael Bond wrote the Paddington Bear stories. What had happened was that back in the 1930s, he watched children arriving at various stations in London where he was growing up, Liverpool Street Station and various others. And it inspired him later on to write about a bear that came from Peru who needed to be adopted. And so there you go, the bear with his label in his suitcase, just like the Kindertransport children. Next. So this is the world map. There's us, and up here is Europe. Next. This is what Europe looked like in 1939 when the war broke out. Next. So this is Dorothy's journey and other children that went on the kinder transport. Started in Kassel, little town. They went up to Hamburg where they caught that train across Holland to Rotterdam, that was called the Hook of Holland, onto the boat, across to London, to Harwich, then across to London by train, and then up to Edinburgh. Next. That's her real boat. It's called the Vienna, and I noticed a similar boat that people came to Australia on, but this is the boat that she went on. Next. Sorry, then we need to move on. Pardon?
Sorry, what was the boat's name?
It was called the Vienna.
Oh, okay.
It's not in commission anymore. This is the car that the Gallimores owned. Well, one like that. And next. How she learnt English. Okay. Now we're going to get on to what we're doing. Just leave it there for a moment. One of the activities you're going to do once you've painted your pockets is you're going to fill in an ID card like this, just like Dorith and the other children had to do, and then put it around your necks. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you the story of the pocket. Thank you. No, not yet. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. Everybody's got a pocket. So the idea is for you to think about what you want to paint on your pocket. You've got options. I'm going to give everybody their own copy of In My Pocket. You're all going to have your own book to take home. You can either copy something from here if it inspired you and it was an important picture that you liked and that you think you can draw or copy your own version, or you can think about what you yourself would put in a precious pocket. So it can be something that's important to you. It could be an animal, it could be your own toy dog, it could somebody yesterday drew a computer. Anything that's important and precious to you, you can draw and then paint on your pocket. I'm going to show you some examples of what people did. How we're going to do it is, you're first going to take your pencil and draw your picture. Don't make anything too tiny or finicky to draw because that's quite difficult to paint later, so try and make it big and bold. Everybody's pocket must have In My Pocket written on it. Once you've done that and you're happy with what you've drawn and you've rubbed out what you don't like, then you're going to take your black marker and outline your drawing. Then you're going to do your painting. So that is the colors that you've got there, and I've also brought colors with as well, so you can come and get some of these colors: gold, silver, green, brown, whatever you want. And then what these sponges are for, in case you're wondering, this is for splotching. So let me just give you some examples. Where are they now? You'll recognize it from the story. She didn't get to do her back. This one. So they've all got In My Pocket on them. This one, the suitcase, and hang on a sec, and the dog. The ideas that she had. Here's another one who did a dog. Here's someone started doing the Austin 7, but didn't quite finish it. And here we go. The boat. Eagle eye view of the boat, and one more of the boat and the back. Yours. These people very kindly donated them to me. Okay, are you ready to start?
So
We'll leave that on for the moment. Really? Amazing colour.
No,
I'm blotching.
as in the memory.
Okay.
When she's walking off the boat. I was going to do the train, but then I saw that one. When she's walking off the boat.
Okay, you come and choose.
Which one?
No, it's too dark. How's it gonna mix?
By mixing them
I'll
both
just
together.
make the.
Something that you learnt from the story. Something about the migration story. What did you learn, Atar?
That you should never give up in which situation.
Right.
The whole thing, like I didn't know that happened.
You didn't know about the in transport? Yep. Something else? Is that
How the thing works.
how what the kids transport?
Yeah, like how they find your parents.
Okay. Ron?
If you're in like already a bad situation, it doesn't mean it will keep getting worse.
Excellent.
The story of the bell and the king's transport.
Yep. So hands up if you did your pocket as something from the story itself. Beautiful. Hands up if you did, over half I'd say. Hands up if you did your pocket as something of your own personal choice. Yep. Now, for next year's Year 6s, as I say, you are the first group that I've ever done this one with. So, as when they were saying to me, what does it involve? I'm like, oh, I can't tell you a lot about it because I really don't. And do you think that I should book this again for next year's Year 6s?
Yeah.
There you go. That's counts as it. Can you all please put your hands together and thank Mr. and Mrs. Jones?
Thank you, everybody. It was fantastic. Your answers were so insightful, and I really felt that they understood what the story of Dorith was all about. And I could see you had fantastic fun, certainly with the pockets. And I'm looking forward to seeing the whole row tomorrow.
We'll get them all pegged up, and then we'll get some pictures with them with their tags on, and I'll send them all through
Yes, a whole group of you all holding them up.
with the pockets and with their tags on.
Yeah, and
Thank you
holding
very
up a
much.
book.
So,
Thank you,
so
Miss
how do I
Kirby.
book for next year? Just